Hey, this is TJ with ViewReview. So in this video today, we're going to go over all of the best Google Maps scrapers. And so Google Maps is a great way to target local small businesses, especially if you're targeting brick and mortar type businesses. And so the reason for that is you can essentially set the parameters of whatever you'd be looking at on a map view, and then capture all the businesses within a certain proximity. And so you can get really as narrow or broadly capturing as you want. And so we're going to kind of cover the different tools, their benefits and drawbacks, and so you can determine which one's the best for you, based on what scale and pricing and usability you're kind of looking for. So to start here, we have Clay, which you're very likely familiar with. It's one of the biggest enrichment tools out there, one of the most, at least broadly robust enrichment tools out there. So you can do a lot of different things. It has a lot of different functionality. So it's not exclusive to Google Maps. You can scrape a lot of different stuff. But Google Maps is, one of their features. So the benefit of Clay is it's very user friendly. It's a pretty simple dashboard. The learning curve as a whole is a lot for Clay, but just learning how to do the Google Map scraping is pretty easy. And the main drawback really is that it can get pretty costly quite quick, and it doesn't have necessarily tons of scale. And so if Google Maps is something that you're going to scrape a lot of, it may not be the best option for you. But if you're just kind of doing it on a one-off basis, or just kind of dipping your toes, or you don't have necessarily a lot of records that you need, it can be a really good option, as you can get pretty specific about what you're trying to scrape, and you can enrich it with a lot of other enrichments from a lot of other data tools if you want to keep everything in Clay. But beyond Clay, another popular one is Octoparse. So Octoparse is pretty good as kind of like kind of middle ground solution. And the reason for that being is it's not necessarily the most user friendly, but I would say its scraping abilities are a little bit more robust and of a bigger scale than Clay's. And you can also run most basic scrapes for free. So even with their free plan, you can use quite a bit of the functionality, kind of depending on what you need. There's a lot of different data you can also get from Octoparse. So, the basic plan is going to get you probably most of what you need. But if you're needing to expand the features, or you need greater usage limits, you may want to upgrade, because they also have scrapers that can, capture phone numbers, emails, reviews, and there's a lot of other stuff you can scrape from the Octoparse scrapers. And so the biggest drawback with Octoparse is really just that it's a little bit more tedious to set up and learn. But if you're willing to just kind of learn it, you're talking about a matter of probably a few hours. You'll probably have a really good grasp of it, and you'll be able to, again, run a lot of your scrapes free. So that's kind of the key things to call out there. And then Outscraper. So Outscraper is going to be kind of the standout for us. Outscraper is probably one of the best Google Maps scrapers, and we'll kind of talk about why here too. But it's really designed to extract really large amounts of data. So if you're needing to capture a lot of small businesses, Outscraper is probably going to be your best option. Also for the reason that it's quite affordable. So with that, I'm going to give it a little caveat, because it is really affordable. And they also accept cryptocurrency, which is pretty cool. It kind of shows you it's in that like gray hat like world. I think to accept that, is a lot of SaaS tools that accept cryptos tend to be kind of, a little rougher around the edges, kind of speak. But the pricing structure can also be really complex depending on all the different types of enrichments you need with your scrape. But if you just use it for its core functionality of just scraping the businesses and kind of that, basic info you need, it's going to get you all that data at probably the lowest price, especially at scale, that you can find across any Google Maps scraping tool. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, is like it's going to really stand out for its ability to scrape really large volumes at a reasonable price. You can use crypto if you want. And yeah, so that's kind of the reasons that we love Outscraper. It's kind of our go-to Google Maps scraper. There's also a lot of different categories you can scrape from in terms of the types of businesses you're looking for. So that's kind of nice too. And then the only kind of drawback here is along with the pricing structure being a little bit difficult to understand if you're using all the different various enrichments, is that it doesn't necessarily have the best accuracy and contact data. So one of those enrichments is to enrich it with contact data. You'll find that you're either going to find a lot of invalidated contacts, so they're not valid emails. It's the wrong types of decision makers that you don't even need, or they're like general generic domains, like maybe info at, or team at, support at, whatever. So we would probably advise you to stay away from it for the purposes of getting contact data for these records. But just for the base functionality of scraping the businesses itself, it's a really good option. And then there's kind of that's kind of like the main ones, but there's a kind of there's an honorable mention with scrap.io for the fact that it's a really easy interface to work with. It's really easy to use, and it's I would say it's got as many categories or business types as Outscraper, maybe even more. But it's not going to be, I think, quite at the scale as any of the others, and it just doesn't do anything so exceptional other than it being user friendly. It's not necessarily the cheapest option. It's not necessarily the most scalable. It's just a good kind of like middle ground solution for this stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the main things to consider here. So one is kind of the scale of your project. Clay probably being the smallest scale. I think they limit you at like 1,000 records, maybe higher for a higher tier plan. You'll need to kind of, and then Outscraper, the best kind of middle ground solution for scale, and then Outscraper for any big scale projects that you're undertaking. And then you also got to kind of consider what type of information you're needing. So if you're needing really detailed information, Outscraper, Outscraper and Octoparse are probably going to be the best ones. But I would say all of them are pretty even in regards to the types of information you need. But Octoparse probably can get you the most information if you're just wanting a lot of Google Maps data. And then kind of considering your technical proficiency. So Clay and Scrap.io are going to be the easiest. But if you're willing to just take a little bit of a learning curve, I think it's well worthwhile to learn Octoparse and Outscraper. Those would be the big ones if you're somewhat technical savvy. And then just kind of considering the budget too. So you can run Octoparse for free. Outscraper is probably going to be the most economical. And then Clay and Scrap.io are worthwhile if you're just needing something simple and a bit more easy to learn. But yeah, that's kind of all you need to know for the main scrapers out there if you are wanting to scrape Google Maps data. And so once you have this data, if you're needing the contact information, you know that using Veerview's platform is a great solution. There's a lot of other options out there too. And so let us know if you need any help as you get started.